Hi, I'm Solveig Comer, and this is how I think about designing the ideal art classroom for young learners. I learned about sustainable place shaping through a previous class at Adelphi University in which I was introduced to SUSPlace and their toolkit for transformative engagement. The toolkit introduced a method called prototyping on a map, which is a way to translate abstract ideas about development of a place into tangible structures and shapes. I thought this would be a great way to begin tackling the idea of designing my own art classroom. You can use this method and take really abstract found objects to represent different features within a place, but I decided to use color-coded paper formations. I started first with a list of the physical things that I wanted in my classroom, and then I built them out of paper. I made little stools, little sofas, little tables, they're the orange ones, and I printed out a little carpet based on Mondrian's Boogie Woogie Broadway painting. I thought that would be a fun place for little kids to sit. I made a smart board because I think that technology is going to be important in my classroom. Made myself a desk and a chair. I created storage places and I color-coded them yellow. I made little plants and I printed off some artworks from history. I also printed off a map because I do want to enhance cultural and geographical literacy within the art classroom, and I think those will be great tools to help me do that. I designed the classroom itself and I put some features in that I wouldn't be able to move around, and those are the door and the bottom part of the picture. I also put in a sink because that's pretty necessary in an art classroom. I put in 4 windows, and I also put in heaters because I live in the Catskills and the heaters are pretty necessary around here. So I had all these little pieces and I had my art classroom. One issue I realized as I started putting things together was that while I understand the importance of measurements, I hate them. I hate being weighed, I hate standardized tests, I hate pricing artwork. So I don't think that I was able to maintain the scale that I was trying for as accurately as I wanted to. I made a pretty small classroom. It was only about 26 feet by 24 feet. My scale was about 1 inch to 2 feet. But as I started putting it together, things got really cramped really fast. And I realized that one thing that I'm absolutely going to need when I have my own art classroom is more storage space than I give myself in this little mock-up. So after I put it all together, I played around with a few different designs. There are lots of ways to put things together. I had those little places glued down like the heaters in the sink, and they're not changing, but I can change the way the tables and the chairs and the artwork on the walls are configured and think about how those different configurations will impact my students and their learning and myself and my ability to teach. One thing I had to leave out of these mock-ups was my favorite art tool, which is the potter's wheel. Ceramics brings with it a whole bunch of health and safety issues, and I felt like I just wanted to focus on an art classroom for elementary students. If I was going to bring ceramics in, I would probably keep it in a separate room, and I wouldn't plan to bring young students into a ceramics room every day through the course of the year. I would want to expose them more to painting and drawing and design work. So my ceramic studio design will be for another day, and this is the design that I came up with as my final design for my favorite art classroom. As the students come in the door, which is at the bottom of the classroom, they would pick up a smock or apron from that station. They would most likely come over to the carpet to find out what their lesson is for today, but if they don't like sitting on the floor, I've got some comfortable sofas over here for them to sit on. The smartboard is right here, so if there's a lesson or an image that I need to share with them before they start their lesson, they will be seated and they can sit there. This is also a spot where we could have discussions and get really comfortable while we're having them. In addition to the sofa and the carpet being visible to the smartboard, and of course my map so I can introduce geography into the lesson, it's also visible to the student artwork. This is their gallery where I can change an never-ending assortment of their artworks as they're produced. I have 2 library shelves here so that if they want to take a break from working and just look at artwork, they're welcome to do that. That's one of the things that I love to do, so I hope to teach my students to do that as well. My desk is right here so that if for some reason I had the opportunity to sit down during the class, I would be in full view of all the students, in view of the door, because these are not full size. They're only about 3 feet tall, so I would be able to see someone entering the room. And the students, as they're working, will have plenty of natural light coming in through the windows onto their work tables. They'll have their smocks. They'll go to their work tables. If they need materials, they can get them from the materials cabinets along the wall over here. These materials cabinets would also function as storage. So maybe all the materials are stored right here, and then when the works that they're working on are ready to be dried, they would be stacked in here, and then they could wash up right here at the sink and return their aprons back on their way out and check my sign here if there's any class notes, anything they need to be aware of before they leave the classroom. One other thing that I took into consideration was the fact that sometimes some students need a little more attention, and sometimes some students get too distracted by their classmates. So I do have one smaller table so that if a student needs to be separated from other students for a learning disability reason or a behavioral or discipline reason, they can be moved over here. Who knows, maybe it would even be considered a reward to be sitting over here. This little table is closer to my desk, so if the students were working and I was seated at my desk, I would be able to help these guys out right away. So that's my favorite classroom, and thanks for watching.